One Question is designed to give subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences.
Greetings, this is Ty Brown and welcome to One Question, where we highlight executive leaders in college athletics. My guest today is Dr. Renae Myles. Renae is the Senior Associate Athletics Director for Internal Operations, the Chief Operating Officer, and Senior Woman Administrator at Winthrop University. Greetings, Renae. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Ty, for having me today.
Now, Renae, you've been in college athletics for 21 years, and throughout that time, you've done a number of leadership development and professional development opportunities. You've involved yourself with committees. And one of the things you're involved with now is Minority Opportunities Athletic Association, or MOAA for short. You're on the symposium committee and also on the board for that organization. Can you give us just a little bit about the purpose of MOAA and why it's important at NACDA and in college athletics?
MOAA, Minority Opportunities Athletic Association, is an organization that's about 19 years old, that's within the umbrella of NACDA. And we provide opportunities to exchange ideas and advocate for increased participation for people of color within the athletic administration profession.
Now, I have you on today to talk to me about MOAA at the NACDA Convention. Of course, MOAA is one of the only, if not the only, all-encompassing group that has people from various divisions and various positions within athletics, from people in the chair, athletics director, all the way down to graduate assistants. What should people do to prepare for attending NACDA as a whole, but specifically those MOAA meetings?
Well, Ty, I would say with over 6,000, plus people in one place over a course of 5 days, there's a lot going on at that time. And so specifically, I think for first-time attendees, it could be overwhelming. And I would really suggest defining your day. Is just an overall suggestion, just defining your day, truly because of the diverse agendas of each of the organizations. I would advise focusing in on the sessions that are most relevant to your job first, like what do you do day to day on your regular job, because if not for that, you wouldn't be at NACDA or MOAA. And then broadening your perspective somewhat and your views with sessions offered by a group like MOAA. Again, our sessions are wide-ranging because we encompass all positions in our profession, in our organization. So broaden your views and perspectives by coming, to MOAA and attending those sessions, but then making certain that your first thing is looking at your regular job, what you do day to day, and making sure you're attending those sessions first.
Right. Excellent. Now, MOAA has programming on its own. What will that agenda consist of in terms of tangible takeaways for people who attend the MOAA meetings?
Yeah, we're really super excited about this year's symposium. We have a day and a half of nonstop intriguing conversations and discussions with some very high-level speakers and some skill sessions that a couple of years ago we enhanced our agenda with skill sessions that we wanted to have those actual tangible takeaways. So we have basically two themes running with our skill sessions this year, and that's dealing with communication, which is always a huge challenge for a lot of administrators and staff, and then finance. So we have two sessions dedicated specifically to dealing with the monies that we're going to be earning. Some of the Division I schools are going to be earning from the value-based revenue distribution. And we're going to have a session based with advisor, a financial advisor, talking about your own health, financial health. How are you doing now, and giving our younger administrators opportunity to think now how they're investing their monies and helping them to plan, for later in life. And then the sessions about communication will rest on the communication within our industry, because we're a multi-generational industry. And the communication gaps that happen within our industry, sometimes it's because we're from two different generations. And so Stan Johnson will be honing in on that. And then Kevin DeShazo, founder of Fieldhouse Media, will be working with us on unlocking the communication code. So those are two, I would say, overarching themes of our actual takeaway session, what we call skill sessions, things you leave with. But then as a whole, when you have Mark Emmert, the president of the NCAA, Arne Duncan, former U.S. Secretary of Education, and also co-chair of the Knight Commission, and then Bill Rhoden works with ESPN, formerly of New York Times, has a New York Times bestseller, and Tony Wiley, Senior Vice President of Communications at the Washington Redskins. We have those folks as cornerstones of our agenda.
Right. So there will be tangible skills in terms of a leader. You want to be able to communicate with all age ranges in the way they communicate, the way you were taught how to communicate. Mm-hmm. And then also you talked about financial management and also finances in terms of organizational finances. It sounds like people will get a lot from it. And then you combine that with the leadership thought and the long-term strategic thought in terms of diversity, in terms of leadership, organizational management, and those type things that the speakers you named will be adding. It sounds like there would be a lot for people to take away from MOAA this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We're really excited.
Now, here's what I've always wanted to know with people who put together conventions. Of course, I put together a lot of conventions with the American Football Coaches Association. One thing I tried to do was to make sure that when people had the things they took away, I tried to give them advice on what to do when they returned. Don't just leave the business cards you collected or the notes you take. Don't just close that and set it on your desk somewhere. What do you suggest attendees do when they return from MOAA and the NACDA Convention to ensure that the information they received, the notes they took, however they gathered information and learned, and the contacts they made, how do you make sure that stays fresh and is applicable when people return from these conferences?
Yeah, Ty, I know these two things that I'm going to say may sound really, simple, but they're very practical and are helpful. So one is tell a colleague or a friend about what you just experienced. But if you tell a friend or a colleague and then that friend or colleague tells someone else, now you have started a real conversation about things that you have actually learned while you were at the NACDA Symposium or the MOAA Symposium or NACDA in general. So definitely just telling a colleague or a friend, and then reviewing the notes you took during sessions. I have two notebooks, and over the course of 21 years, I've went to several different leadership organizations and done a lot of training. And I keep those books with me. They're right here in my office with me right now, of notes that I've taken from different leaders over the course of time that have said things that have resonated with me. And what I've done is I would take something that they said, whether it resonated with me or I was confused by something they said, and I would send them a note and say, thank you so much for your time on the panel. But there was one thing that you said that I really would like to have some more clarity on, based on X, Y, and Z. Or what you said about X, Y, and Z really resonated with me, because what that does, that's not only a very good networking tool, it helps them understand that they're in a position of influence, because they're influencing at least one person that got something out of what they said. So it also helps them understand that they're accountable for what they say when they're on those stages. So making sure that you acknowledge that to that person is very powerful, because, again, they're a person of influence, and it's also a great networking tool. And I've got mentors off of just doing just that, and we developed a real good relationship, and I still have notes that they wrote me back about, I would love to sit down and talk with you about this more. Yeah, so I know those are two very practical things, but
hey, simple works, right? It's easy. You can do it. Right. Write the letter and read your notes and go over things. One final question here. Sometimes when we come back from conferences, our supervisor may look at us and wonder, why did I just spend that money to send you there? Do you have any suggestions on how people can put together a report or some type of post-conference summary that explains the takeaways and the applications and essentially, why was this conference necessary for me to go to, and then how will it benefit the organization as a whole? Have you ever put together a summary or some type of way that you present to your supervisor throughout your career, or any suggestions on how people should do that?
I would say I would use show and tell. So show me how we can implement something that you learned because I sent you to the MOAA Symposium. So if you went and learned about value-based revenue distribution, which is coming out in 2020, we'll hopefully all get the score, meet the score or the mark to be able to receive those funds. If you attended that session and you work on the budget side or the academic side within athletics, the compliance side of that, you come show me, tell me how we can implement something that you heard from that session that's going to make certain that we qualify to receive those funds when they come out in 2020. So show it, I would say, is more about show and tell, maybe not just a narrative of what you learned, but put it into play. Show me, and even if it doesn't work right away, you've actually come and sat with your supervisor and given them a solution rather than a problem. So it is absolutely solution. So hopefully when sending you to NACDA, sending you to the MOAA Symposium, you're coming back with solution-based thinking more so than problem thinking.
Right, exactly. Well, Renae, this has been an excellent conversation here. Can you give us the dates of the MOAA Symposium here so everybody knows when it is?
Yes, actually the dates are Wednesday, June 27th and Thursday, June 28th. Our theme is Pipeline to Progress, helping each other towards success. And we would be excited for all members of MOAA, but anyone that is attending NACDA is welcome to attend some of our sessions there at the symposium.
Right, of course, and that's at the 2018 NACDA Convention, which is taking place out in Washington, D.C. This has been an excellent conversation, Renae. Thank you very much for joining us here on One Question.
You're so welcome. Thank you, Ty, for having me.
That was Dr. Renae Myles. She's the Senior Associate Athletics Director for Internal Operations, the Chief Operating Officer and Senior Woman Administrator at Winthrop University. And this is Ty Brown with One Question. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of One Question is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.